Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news with me, Mark Goldbridge, as we talk about Frenkie de Jong. He's been speaking about his future. Also from Spain, there may well be a distraction or issue for Manchester United if they want to sell Harry Kane, with Real Madrid potentially entering the race. Also a very interesting update on Romeo Lavia, who is the midfielder at Southampton, 19 years of age. He was only 19 years of age. He's apparently been linked to Manchester United. Big update on that because there's more to that than meets the eye. We'll also be talking, we spoke about Sancho last night. I want to bring in something that I heard that Paul Scholes said the other night, which is really interesting about Sancho. We'll talk about that as well. And Harry Maguire's been speaking about how he's finding the situation difficult at Manchester United, but believes that they've got four good centre-backs who all could play for top clubs, and at the moment, it's just a matter that two people are playing better than him. Is he right? Is he that close to starting for Manchester United? Is he just having to wait for his time, or is he never going to get that time? We'll talk about that because some people believe that Maguire could play as a centre-back for Manchester United. So we'll talk about all of that, of course, but we're going to start off with the Frenkie de Jong story, and effectively, I can see people in the chat saying, oh my God, we don't want to go through all this again. And I actually do agree with it. Now, let's just paint a picture of Frenkie de Jong and what's going on with Manchester United. We're only about a month away now. It was the start of May last year when we got this story from Barcelona that there was a massive chance that Frenkie de Jong was going to sign for Manchester United by the end of May. And by the end of August, we'd spent all summer chasing him. Our director of football, our CEO, went over to Barcelona. They were pictured there. We never got him. He stayed at Barcelona. Barcelona were pulling more levers than a pinball machine, and he stayed. He stayed as their big top earner. He's had a really good season. He was the obsession of Erik ten Hag, who without doubt has been a sensational manager for Manchester United. The way he's turned some of these players around is unbelievable. The way he's turned the club around is absolutely remarkable. So if he wanted Frenkie de Jong as his number one signing, imagine what we would have been if we'd got Frenkie de Jong. When you look about what he's done with Bruno and De Gea and Rashford and Dalot and Wan-Bissaka and everybody else, imagine what Man United would have been if we'd got him the one player that he wanted above everybody else. What would Man United have looked like with Frenkie de Jong in the team? So, look, he is a player that Ten Hag is obsessed with, but, maybe that was it last summer, or so we thought. Manchester United still putting it out there that Frenkie de Jong is the midfielder that Ten Hag wants. Ten Hag still allowing it to be put out there that Frenkie de Jong is the midfielder that he wants. Are we about to embark on another summer of Frenkie de Jong and Manchester United? Welcome to the Members Club, Neil Massey. Well, Frenkie de Jong has actually spoken, and he's spoken ahead of the El Clasico on Sunday, and he said, hopefully, I can play in the new camp, the new stadium they're building. Barcelona has always been the club of my dreams, and I want to stay here for many years. For me, the Camp Nou is the most beautiful stadium in the world. The plans for the stadium are very good. To continue here for many years, Barca is the team of my dreams. Playing in El Clasico is a very difficult feeling to explain. When I was a child, I dreamed of doing it with Barcelona, and now I can do it. It's a very important game for the fans and also for the players, a game that can decide a league. Look, I've always been fascinated by this de Jong deal. Man United and Ten Hag never let this go for 4 months last summer. Are they going to seriously do it again when everything we've ever heard from this player is, I would have to be pulled out of Barcelona kicking and screaming. I don't want to go anywhere else. I love Barcelona. This is my dream club. It's my dream to play here. I want to be here for many years. I mean, how many times can he say this before we actually just go, we've got to embark on somebody else? Exactly what Dee says there. Look, I'm fascinated by what the story is. I'm fascinated by what Erik ten Hag sees in Frenkie de Jong and what he could bring to Manchester United. I mean, in fact, let me reword that. He's a fantastic player. And he, no doubt would make Man United better. But it just feels at this juncture that, we're pushing on a locked door. And the stuff he says publicly makes it very difficult for him to go to another club anyway. I mean, imagine if we signed Frenkie de Jong. The quotes are there over the last 12 months. I love Barcelona. This is my dream. I want to be here. It's not, Man United's better than that is what I'm trying to say. We don't need to buy players who we've got quotes of in the last few months saying, I don't want to leave. I love Barcelona. This is my club. When you buy a player, Liverpool used to do it all the time. I think it was Joe Cole admitted it. He had to say that Man United wanted to sign him and he chose Liverpool even though we didn't. It's like, every club wants a new signing to basically say, this is my dream club. I used to go to bed in Man United pyjamas. We've got a player here in Frenkie de Jong who clearly went to bed in Barcelona pyjamas and still does. He's got Barcelona curtains. He's got Barcelona plates and knife and fork. He loves Barcelona. He doesn't want to leave Barcelona, and I just don't know whether that's the right fit for Manchester United, and I don't think we necessarily didn't stop us last summer. I still think we'll try and do it again. I feel with the De Jong story, before we move on, you know what I feel? I feel that Man United desperately want him. I think that De Jong desperately wants to stay at Barcelona, and I think that Barcelona last summer desperately wanted to sell him. So Man United were like, well, we will buy him if you're going to sell him, and De Jong's like, I don't want to go. I think that can be the only explanation. I think Frenkie de Jong has probably said, if Barcelona force me out, I'll happily come to Man United, but I want to stay here. And I think that's what it's all about. And we can't embark on another summer where Barcelona go, we might sell him. I mean, we got played by Barcelona last year. I'm so pleased. I'm so happy. People forget about this. I'm so pleased we kicked Barcelona out of the Europa League and proved that we're a better side. I'm so pleased that we showed Barcelona that we're better than you, because they played us last summer. They played us all summer. They basically said, yeah, we'll sell him. Yeah, we'll sell him. Yeah, we'll sell him. And then they didn't. Hi, Mark. Frenkie has said multiple times that he doesn't want to leave Barcelona and obviously doesn't want to join United. We need players who want to play for us, says Dean. Mark, I'm driving to Norfolk to get my watch serviced. United stand in the car on the way. Up the mighty Reds and oil me up, says Daniel. Will you drive safely, Daniel? Thank you very much for that. Who would Barca replace Frenkie with? And could they even afford such a player, given how they have to sell to overcome the La Liga ban? Exactly, Axel. And I think that's what will make Man United hang around again. This story that Barcelona have to sell to buy, the Liga president said it a few weeks ago, we covered that. Is that going to make Man United just hang around with a bowl saying, please, sir, again? I just don't know. I mean, he's a fantastic player, but, look, we did it with Sancho. We went back the following summer and we got him. We could get him, but the player is very adamantly wanting to stay there. So if United are going to do this deal, they can't wait all summer. I'd love to sign him, but we can't wait all summer. I'm not up for another circus this summer. Those pictures of Murta and Arnold ordering tapas in Barcelona still linger around the club. I want players who are begging to come to play for the project, says Charlie Max. Thank you very much for that, Charlie. Well, look, we'll see what happens with it. He's spoken again. Look, three things for me. One, absolutely love him to come to the club. I thought he played fantastic for Barcelona in both legs, especially at Old Trafford. Two, if this is Erik ten Hag's number one target, imagine what he could do. But three, Barcelona need to make their mind up and follow through this time. If you're selling him, sell him and tell him he's up for sale, and then we can hopefully get him. If not, we have to back off. Simple as that. Which then leads on to alternatives. I don't know whether you saw the story yesterday. I'm going to whiz through quite a lot this morning, so fasten your seatbelts. I don't know whether you saw a story yesterday. I think it was coming in from a Belgian journalist that Manchester United have approached the agent of Romeo Lavia, who's the impressive midfielder at Southampton at the moment. He's only 19 years of age, and apparently Manchester United and Chelsea are interested in bringing him in this summer. Now, there's a very high chance that Southampton are going to get relegated, although I hope they beat Spurs this afternoon to help our top four hopes. We'll have a look at the table in a minute and what happened with Newcastle last night, but we could do with these teams behind us stopping winning. Brighton, Southampton, Newcastle don't seem to stop winning at the moment, but we'll see how that goes. Can you do more keep-ups, you or Charlie, says Augustine? I mean, I probably can do more, but Charlie is a better footballer, but, I probably can do more. We might have a challenge. And Mark, the next lever Barcelona pull might end up flushing their Camp Nou down the pan, says Paul Woolley. Yeah. Remember those old... Yeah, I know what you're on about, levers. Oh, I'm on about the chain. Yeah. Anyway... So Man United have been linked to Lavia. Now Sam says Lavia is a City product. Now I'm just going to kill this story dead straight away. Before you start getting excited about Lavia from Southampton, and he would be a brilliant signing. As an understudy to Casemiro, as a real tenacious up and coming midfielder, fantastic, exciting player. I think a lot of clubs would like to bring him in. We won't get him. Welcome to Members Club A1. You know why we won't get him? Because, again, this is the level that we look at in this community, and this is the level you should look at, and this is why we've always enjoyed covering transfer stuff over the years, is that there's a hidden story behind the headline. Lavia is a Manchester City product. He only went from Manchester City to Southampton a year ago. There's still add-ons that need to be paid as part of that deal. But more importantly, Manchester City have got first refusal. They've also got 20%, they'll get 20% of the sell-on. And also, it's led to believe that Man City can buy him back for 40 million. So how the hell are Man United going to buy a player like that? I just don't. You know, I think some people think, oh, he's got a relegation clause, we'll buy him for 15 million. He's gone from Man City. They've got a 20% sell-on fee, and they've got first refusal. So it's not going to happen. Unfortunately, we're going to have to look at other options. So if it's not going to be De Jong, where are we going to go? Because we've got to get somebody in. Obviously, Enzo Fernandez would have been great, but Chelsea did a great bit of business there in January. And I think it raises an interesting question, doesn't it? We revel and praise our development at Manchester United, and it is very, very good. But the reality is, over the last 10 years, Manchester City and Chelsea have developed amazing youth setups. But this is what tends to happen. There's not really a path into the first team for Manchester City. So a lot of Man City players end up going to Southampton or somewhere else like that. It pricks the ears up of United fans and every other club going, oh, he's quite good. But actually, they're probably a Man City product. And when they've gone there, Man City have got it tied up that they come back or they get some sort of release clause or something like that. So, yeah, this is going to happen a lot because Manchester City's youth setup's brilliant, but they don't have paths into the first team. So you get a lot of players who end up going out or going, you know, to other Premier League clubs on the cheap. So it's not a straightforward deal for Manchester United to do by any means. And look, I'm not saying that there won't be a relegation clause in the contract of Lavia. There may well be relegation clauses in a lot of West Ham, Leicester, Bournemouth, you know, anyone who's going to get relegated, there might be relegation clauses in there. And what they are is basically, if James Ward-Prowse gets relegated, he might be able to leave for 30 million. Whereas if he's in the Premier League, maybe it's 50 million. So there might be some deals to do, but it's going to be difficult to do at Lavia because of that connection with Manchester City. Justin says, you spoke last time you'd rather win the FA Cup than the Europa League. No, I didn't. With the Europa League, you get a Champions League ticket and play the... No, Justin, I mean, look, I may have said that, but I think, you know, that may have been a specific mood thing. I don't recall saying that. I do recall saying many times that I'd rather win the Europa League than the FA Cup because of exactly what you've just said there, Justin. It's a European competition. You know, to beat Spanish teams and Italian teams and Dutch teams and win a European tournament that gives you Champions League, there's more kudos in doing that. And I think it will, you know, I think the players will feel more developed by winning a European competition. United need to be on the front foot and sign wonder kids like Kvaratskhelia, Frenkie and Lavia before they sign for rivals. Love the channel mark, says Nickel. A benefit of the Super League is that games are more accessible to the wider fan base. This also lessens discrimination between top Reds and fans, says Pogba. Yeah, you're going to be popular this morning. I mean, mate, there's no benefit to the Super League. The Super League will destroy the Premier League. It will, it will make the European Cup obsolete. That's not a trade-off I'd go for just so that Man United can play in Adelaide against Liverpool or New York against Real Madrid. I don't want that to happen to football. Pranav, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining. Appreciate that. And morning, Mark. Can you say? No, I'm not doing that. Kone from Mönchengladbach would be a great option. Costs 30 to 40 million pounds, cheap and has loads of potential, says Shaka Phillips. Hope you're doing well. Okay, Keith Andrews just made it clear. You said you'd like us to win the FA Cup to stop Man City winning the treble. There you go. There's always a reason. The Europa League is a better tournament to win than the FA Cup, but there is my City bias coming in. I don't want them to win the treble, and the only way we can stop Man City winning a treble is to win the FA Cup. So of course the FA Cup has value, so there you go, that's why it's there. Mark, you created the Super League, says Gareth Bet. I'll never do anything as coincidental as that. If I ever try, that was ridiculous. I literally started a FIFA career mode which was a Super League, and in a few days later they announced they were doing a Super League. They'd been working on it way before I did that, so I don't take anything about that. Did you see the McTominay news, says Rohan? Well, I'm going to do the preview a little bit later on today for the Fulham game. So, yeah, apparently McTominay is a doubt. I don't believe McTominay is a doubt. I think he'll play tomorrow, but apparently he is a doubt. In a way, that's a good thing because I'd rather play Fred and Sabitzer there anyway. I wouldn't start McTominay anyway. I think he's a weak link. And I think people get, is football not about opinion? You've got someone in the chat there talking about the Super League. You've got people saying they want Sajim. You've got people saying they want Qatar. You've got people saying, I think Maguire's good enough to be our backup centre-back. You've got people saying sell him. I think it's there's a few things actually there because Maguire's come out and said that it's difficult and players are unhappy when they're not starting, but it's not an unhappiness that they're toxic. It's just that they want to play. So you're just waiting for your chance, and it's difficult when you're not playing games. But he went on to say that we've got 4 top-class centre-backs who all play for top international clubs. And at the moment, Martinez and Varane are playing really, really well. But, any of us could play for top clubs in the Premier League. And at the moment, they're playing, and we just got to wait for our chance. I haven't got a problem with what Maguire's saying there, by the way. You've got to believe in yourself. Otherwise, what's the point? You've got to be your own biggest critic, but you've got to be your own biggest fan. The battle in your head is the only one that you can fight. Nobody knows what's going on inside somebody's head, of course. So, if Maguire, he spoke after the game on Thursday talking about how he's got a big influence off the pitch as well as on the pitch. He clearly has to keep telling himself and telling everybody else how important he is to this squad, because otherwise it's over, isn't it? So there's no problem with that at all. But it's the same with McTominay for me. I don't. There's nothing I'd like more than McTominay to play tomorrow and score the winner and be man of the match. Everybody wins. And why couldn't McTominay do that? Wan-Bissaka was written off. I think one thing about Ten Hag is you can't write any player off. Last night, some people are writing Sancho off. You can't write any player off under Ten Hag. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that he turns Brandon Williams into a first-team left-back. I mean, it's doubtful, but I wouldn't write it off. That's how good Ten Hag is. I think the only player I'd write off under Ten Hag is Phil Jones, because he's not medicine man. He can't start. He's not got healing hands. So beyond that, Ten Hag wouldn't surprise me if he turned any player into a decent player. But my issue with the Scott McTominays and the Harry Maguires of this world are that not that they're completely crap. I think both players would be very good at a West Ham, at an Everton, maybe even a Newcastle. I don't know. I mean, Newcastle would probably have higher aspirations than that. But my issue with those two people is that there are spaces in the team where I think we can improve. And everybody wants us to buy 3 or 4 or 5 new players. But where are they going to come into this squad if you're not going to remove people out of the squad? For me, Varane and Martinez are nowhere near Maguire and Lindelof. They can say what they like, they can believe what they want, they can talk about being internationals, they can say at the moment it's about form. It's not about form for Harry and Victor. They are nowhere near the level of Martinez and Varane, in my mind. In my opinion, we've got 2 elite centre-backs that could play for most teams in the world, and then we've got 2 centre-backs who really wouldn't get picked for any of the top 4. They are mid-table, top 8, whatever. So I want to buy a centre-back. I want to remove Maguire, and I want to bring in a centre-back like Kim Min-jae, who's closer to those 2. That's how you improve your squad. Same in the midfield. You've got Casemiro, Eriksen at the moment, and Bruno, who are 3 elite midfielders. You've then got Fred, who's a really good backup player. You've got Sabitzer, who we don't really know much about. And then I think you've got McTominay. I want McTominay to go so we can move up closer to those. It's not about saying they're crap. It's about improving your squad, and that's what Ten Hag will be looking at. He'll be looking at areas in the team where he's got players that are decent, but he can get better. And that's all it is. It's not about disliking a player. A lot of people said to me, oh, Maguire played well on Thursday. And I'm like, no, he didn't play well on Thursday. He did. What happened is he had a bad first half, and in the second half he settled down and did okay. And this happens with McTominay as well. When they don't make a mistake and they do okay, like when McTominay came on last week, people confuse it with a good performance because they haven't made a mistake. That's how low you hold those players. Because if that was Casemiro, you'd go, oh, he had a bad game. Maguire didn't have a good game. He made a few blocks and made a few passes in the second half. And also, in the case of Maguire and McTominay, are they ever going to find a yard of pace, and are they ever going to be able to deal with small little players that can, jink and turn past them? No, they're not going to do it. So I see that as an area where Man United need to improve. And if we want to improve, look, next season, if Varane gets injured, do you want Kim Min-jae to come in, or do you want Harry Maguire? There endeth the lesson. Super League is only good for existing top teams. It will destroy any local development in any country where football is growing. Variety is key. We want more African, Asian, American teams developing, says SK. Why don't United buy players from Sporting? Good bargains. They are the best team in the Europa. Well, we bought Zayn just because they knocked you out, but we did buy Bruno from there. Today is my 34th birthday, and I'm spending the day competing in a disc golf tournament, says Brandon. Glory United, and if West Ham get relegated, over 20 million for Rice since he captained them down, says Brandon. Well, happy birthday, Brandon, and I hope you have a good day doing your disc. Interestingly, just talking about that progression, I do think it's worth looking at it yourself, because the transfer window is coming and Erik Ten Hag will look at it, but it's not about this player's crap anymore. I don't really look at United's squad and have the desire to go, he's a load of shit, he's a load of shit, because the team's performing well. There's a really good mentality there. I think United have moved past that, and I think as a fan base we should move past that, where we're still, got the hangover of the Mourinho and Solskjaer era, where, there's players in the team that you just genuinely want them to go. I mean, last year Man United were a disgrace, and some of those players were a disgrace, on the pitch, leaking stuff off the pitch, toxic, blame shifting, and they deserved a lot of the criticism they got. I think we're a different team now. I think we're a different squad now. It's not about get him out my club because I don't like him, he's rubbish, he's toxic, he's crap. It's now about, I think you need to go to a club and play first team football because it's not going to happen here. And we bring a player in to replace you that's better than you. And that's what Pep does. That's what Klopp does. It's just about, whoever that player is, you go and play first team football for them because that's your level. We wish you all the best. And we're going to bring somebody in better than you. And that's how I look at the squad now. So, whether it's Maguire, whether it's McTominay. Now, Paul Scholes mentioned this about right back. Now, this is really interesting. Paul Scholes the other night was talking about Sancho, and he said, I think there's a lot of potential in Sancho to unlock. And one of the things he suggested is, if you get a better fullback, you'll get a better Sancho. Because he said, look, Sancho's not blessed with great pace. So he needs a fullback that's bombing on past him all the time. At Dortmund, he had that. And at United, he's not really getting that. He needs a fullback that's running past him all the time. Because when a fullback runs past you as a winger, it creates options. You've got the overlap pass, and then it takes a player away. So you've got the inverted pass, or you've got space. You could flip that around and say, well, look, if Sancho can only play well with a fullback that runs past him, he's a very limited player. But I also think it makes a lot of sense what Scholes is saying, that you've got to play to Sancho's strengths. You've got to look at what he was doing well at Dortmund, and then you've got to try and replicate that at Manchester United. Now, Dave said he's a number 10. Dave, why is he a number 10? Do you know how hard a number 10 has to work? It's not just about getting the ball and playing little intricate passes. If you're a number 10 and you're playing at the Emirates, or even Goodison Park, you're not just stood there on the edge of the box playing little 1-2s and little triangles and little slip-through passes for your number 9. 85% of your game, you're going to spend it in your own half, tracking back and tackling. This is the issue with Sancho. People keep saying he's a number 10 and they're completely dismissing what a game of football is. I would not play Sancho at number 10 until he proved that he can tackle and track back and work hard. That's not something that we've seen yet. So this number 10 thing is a bit of a myth at the moment for Sancho. But I do think it's interesting what Scholes said about bringing in a right back, because I think that is an area that, well, maybe not a right back. I mean, I suppose the only issue I'd have with Scholesy there is that Sancho plays off the left a lot, and Luke Shaw and Malacia, they do track back a lot, don't they? So I don't know. We'll have to see. But look, I think anything that we're looking to do, we've got to look at. Improving what we've got, and that is why we're probably being a little bit. What's the word? Ruthless. That's the word I always use. You've got to be ruthless. Right. Talking about ruthless, I want to talk about the Premier League in a minute. Newcastle won last night. This top 4 race is starting to hot up. Do you think that maybe Manchester United are getting drawn into a top 4 race? We'll talk about that in a moment. But one team that is in the top 4 race, and from Alabama, going to my first United match tomorrow, says Seth. Enjoy it, pal. Sancho will never be a 10, says Mario Franco. He has no defensive discipline. Sancho's time is ticking. He must do better. He still looks really rusty. Well, I think patience is a key. I personally think that Sancho is a winger. That's where his best position is. But we will see what happens. Gary Phillips, go and find another channel. You're blocked. Solved your problem this morning. There we go. See you later, Gary. Have a good day. Why are all Garys idiots? Anyway, let's move on. We've got Andrew Bell. Welcome to the Members Club. Right, let's have a look. So before I talk about that, you can see Spurs are doing really well in the Premier League top 4 race at the moment. Now, interesting story coming out of Spain that Real Madrid are looking at Harry Kane. I don't really care about this, to be honest. We spoke about Frenkie de Jong at the start of the show. I really do not want Harry Kane to be a long, drawn-out summer. I mean, imagine if we are going for Frenkie de Jong and Harry Kane, it's going to be a long summer. Really going to be a long summer, isn't it? It's I don't know. We've got so much going on with the ownership, and then I look at some of our targets and I worry. You know, part of me thinks I wish we would buy 3 or 4 players no one knows we're going to buy. You know, we're going to buy a young striker from bloody the Bundesliga, a young midfielder from France, and a young centre-back from Spain, and nobody knows we're going to get them, and they're easy to do, and they'll all be on the pre-season tour in July. Because I think at the moment we're getting linked to a lot of players, and we're probably going to try and sign a lot of players that are going to be very problematic to go for. So look, whether Real Madrid or Bayern Munich want Harry Kane or not, I do worry that if United go for Harry Kane, it's going to take all summer to do a deal. We'll get absolutely bent over on the price, and he won't actually sign for us until we've played 4 or 5 Premier League games at the end of August. Have you had a look up at no, I'm not looking at Ethan Street, thank you. And Kane is overhyped by the British mainstream media. No, look, Harry Kane's a fantastic player, TTV. Of course he is, but you know, people say they don't want us to sign Frenkie de Jong because it will be a drawn-out affair. I really think the same thing will happen with Harry Kane, if not worse. I don't think Spurs would sell us Harry Kane until August the 31st. Been watching since 2017, says Bobs. Thank you very much, pal. Thank you very, very much. Right, let's just talk about this for a moment. So there's the Premier League table as it stands at the moment. Now, Spurs are going to play Southampton tonight, so we could be down to 4th tonight, this afternoon. Spurs go away to Southampton. If they win that game, we're down to 4th. Are we in a race, top 4 race again? I think we're sort of getting dragged into it because the teams below us have started doing something I didn't expect. And obviously that Southampton result last week, you've got to beat Southampton at home. We should have beat Southampton at home. But obviously, you know, I saw Shearer moaning about VAR because Newcastle didn't get something. This is always going to be the case. And part of me feels like going, I don't care. Stop moaning, Alan. But actually, I do care because I said this last Sunday. This is not about Man United. It's about everybody. Everybody's going to be a victim of VAR because it's crap. And Shearer's moaning about it because of last night. And, you know, I don't blame those United fans who've got no sympathy for Newcastle or Shearer. But I do have sympathy because, you know, it cost us last week. Those 2 points that we've been robbed of last week is a disgrace. And that's why we're getting pulled back in. I mean, looking at it, Newcastle have had 2 fantastic wins, late wins against Wolves and Forest last night, and that's put them up to 47 points. They haven't got a game in hand on us, Newcastle, so they've played the same amount of games, but they're only 3 points behind us. Spurs have played a game more. They'll have played 2 games more, but they could go ahead of us. Brighton have got a game in hand on us and could get within 5 points of us. Liverpool, I'm not actually worried about Liverpool. Not worried about Liverpool at all because they're 7 points behind. Sorry, they're 8 points behind us, and their next 3 games are City, Arsenal, and Chelsea. So I'm not worried about Liverpool. Can I see a world where Brighton get top 4? No. Can I? I don't. I'd love them to get it, but I don't. Can I see a world where Tottenham or Newcastle both kick us out the top 4? No. So I'm not worried. You know, it's a very short section there, but I'm not worried about top 4. I'm not worried about top 4 at all. We've got Newcastle away next game, Rodney. I think the next 3 games will settle it. But ultimately, even if we drop some points without Casemiro, we will have Casemiro and Eriksen back for the run-in. I don't think Spurs and Newcastle are going to go and win 9 games out of their last however many they've got. So I'm not worried. I think we will get top 4. It might get a little squeaky. It might get a little bit tight. But at the end of the day, I think we'll get it. Mark, if De Jong doesn't want to join United, what about going for someone like Barella? Says Ethan Cooper. Good player. Don't know what Ten Hag thinks of him. And Red Smurf says, we need to put this Kane rubbish and put it in the bin. It's time to start working on younger and well-established strikers, says Red Smurf United. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you on that one. But yeah, I'm not worried about top 4. Edmund says Chelsea will get top 4. I'm not. I don't think they will, mate. I think you've got to respect the league. I think the advantage, the reason I think we'll get top 4 is because I think the league is very competitive. And how does a team win 9 games in a row when you're going to have to play? Look, somebody said to me Tottenham are going to go and win 9 games. I'd go, well, in them 9 games, they're clearly going to have to play a Brentford or a Brighton or a relegation team. That look, what the strength of this league is how competitive it is. There's only Aston Villa that are really mid-table, and they're actually quite decent. You've got about 8 teams fighting for relegation, so every game matters to them. And then you've got Fulhams and Brentfords and Brightons and Newcastles, and then you've got title contenders. There's no easy games in this league. So to be honest with you, I'd rather have the points on the board. And we've got the points on the board. So I think United will be fine. I don't see a Chelsea. I mean, look, I've always felt that Liverpool would get top 4. But to be honest with you, that's looking quite illogical at the moment. At the moment, it looks like it's Man United, Spurs and Newcastle for 3rd and 4th. And I would put decent money on United getting it. So I'm not worried at the moment. You look at our next 3 games as well. Newcastle away, Brentford and Everton at home. So I know we haven't got Casemiro, but we could have Eriksen. And if Sabitzer kicks on, I think we might be okay. So I think we'll be all right. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Nice, quick updates this morning on the show. Thank you very much for having you. And, you know, we do need this international break, Marvin. But tomorrow's a massive game. And I'll have the preview up for you a little bit later. Have a fantastic day. And obviously we'll react if anything breaks. But I'll speak to you all in a bit. Take care. Oh, I've got an update on the ownership, which I'll bring in on the preview as well. So I'll mention that in a bit.